Night upon night of the good Glenerians fell in battle, as the soldiers of the Dark Army seemed to multiply. Queen Eilis gathered as many of the people and nobles as she could find and led them to the safe city deep in the northern mountains, while King Elian kept the Dark Army contained in the south. The Queen's journey was a treacherous one that took her far along the forgotten road, a hidden path known only by a select few. The road led to the highest peak of the northern mountains. Queen Eilis gave her people hope when the way seemed too difficult to continue on, but she guarded a secret. The Queen was with child.
So we have to get over this hill?
Then let's go.
Before the sun had reached midday, Bea had come upon the waters of a large river. Bea reached her hand into the water and felt its coolness against her skin.
How am I to cross this river? It's far too wide.
Silly girl, why don't you go around the river? Simply turn to the right and follow the edge of the bank until the sun sets.
Bea studied her map.
Do not bother with that silly map.
This is the map that my friend used along his journey. I must follow it, lest I lose his path as well as my own.
I believe that you are wasting your time with such a thing. But if you must follow it, then I suppose you could swim across the river.
Bea stepped closer to the edge of the river and plunged her face into the crystal blanket of its waters. She saw several fish darting playfully to and fro, their silver backs bouncing rays of the sun back to her. The cool, rushing sensation tickled her nose, causing her to giggle. As she laughed, many tiny bubbles danced from her lips before gliding gently upward. Bea then became aware of a strange sensation. She felt her throat tighten and her chest begin to ache. She jumped back from the water, coughing and gasping for air.
I cannot swim across this river, Crow. I fear that I will not be able to hold my breath long enough to reach the other side. Please, Crow, there must be another way.
I got it. Do you see those smooth stones peeking through the surface of the water? You can walk from stone to stone across the river.
Bea reached out with her foot to touch the top of one of the stones. As she did, she felt her foot slip and she nearly fell into the river. Bea stepped back sadly and again addressed the crow.
I cannot walk across the smooth stones. They are far too slippery, and I fear that I may slip and fall and be swept downstream.
The crow pondered another suggestion for Bea.
Ah, I've got it.
The crow pointed to a large frog resting by the edge of the river. Bea approached and curtsied to the frog to introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Bea.
The frog eyed Bea up and down, then ballooned his chest, making a low croaking sound. Then the frog sprang suddenly from his resting place. In a single leap, just as the crow had said, the frog had cleared the river and disappeared out of Bea's sight. Bea stooped cautiously into a crouching position, her hands and feet upon the ground. Her eyes narrowed. Following the example of the frog, she let out a low bellow and sprang forward. Unfortunately, she did not glide as gracefully or as far as her friend the frog, and she tumbled clumsily, landing partway in the water. Bea was saddened by yet another defeat.
Perhaps, my young friend, this is the point at which you turn back and give up on your quest.
The thought of giving up on Liam was unacceptable to Bea. She looked around, desperately searching for another way across the river. Then something caught her eye.
I cannot swim across the river like the fish do. I cannot grip the smooth stones with my feet, and I cannot leap across the rushing waters, such as the frogs do. But there is something that I can do, something that I am quite good at.
Bea stared up at the branch of a large tree that stretched all the way from one side of the river to the other. She grabbed hold of the trunk of the tree and began to climb.
Surely you do not think that you can climb across the river?
There are many trees where I have come from, and I have climbed them since I was a little girl.
But what if the branch were to break and you were to fall into the river? You would surely be swept away and lost forever.
This branch is strong and holds tightly to its roots. I know that it will hold me.
With that, Bea hugged tightly to the branch and made her way all the way across. On the other side, she dropped and landed safely on the ground. The crow glared at Bea. She had defeated the challenge the river had presented her by simply understanding that which had made her unique from the others.